tapes. I think it was probably about 1992 at the Center for Art Tapes. Jamie Nutt might have been teaching that, I'm not sure, but I was 16, Matt would have been about 23. A year or two later, Chris Murphy, who's here tonight, from Sloan, turned me on to Matt's amazing songs that he had done some recording with Matthew, and I still have these tapes. I dubbed off Chris. They're like hissy tapes running at weird speeds, and a bunch of Matthew's great early material. Matt and I became friends, and through the mid-90s, Matthew Warren Auld, who lived in Montreal, he wishes he could be here tonight, and I recorded a handful of Matthew's tunes together. Matt could be like a challenging artist to document. For every 2 minutes we'd record, I think there might have been about 30 minutes of smoke breaks and another 20 minutes talking about rock and roll and like writers and crime writers and this and that, you know. He was so well read. I think Matt heard, I think a lot of you can attest to this, listening who've heard his music, but I think Matthew heard orchestras and big produced arrangements in his head. And because he couldn't afford them, that didn't stop him from imagining them there. His demos are magic. His Casio keyboard was his orchestra, as Clive McNutt is playing tonight, put it yesterday while we were rehearsing. Perhaps Matthew was impatient for the details. I like that. But it's almost like he was saying, I've written this rock opera, now you expect me to execute it flawlessly? But his imagination was so incredible. He was fearless with his language, ferociously honest, dark, and humorous with these occasional sweet, earnest love songs mixed in. As many of us know, Matthew suffered from mental illness and challenges with alcohol. He could be kind of disheveled and often scattered, but he powered through all that and made things work as best as he could. When Matt played with Warren and I at the Birdland, I remember this is a funny memory, but in the 90s, he was so nervous, his solution was to drink 2 pots of coffee. That was Matt. Having said all this, I can attest to the fact that Matt was in no way disorganized or unconfident in his composition and writing. Kitty and the family have entrusted me with getting some of Matthew's music and words together into some form of an archive over the next little while, a hard drive with all his tunes and recordings, and having seen some of Matthew's notebooks recently going back to the early 1990s, I can tell you, like, there's hundreds of songs in these books, so many words, so many songs I've never heard, lyrics, and they're great. All meticulously detailed with chords and dates written and recorded. The titles alone are like this gold mine of creativity. It's wild. Matthew, like most artists I know, myself included, could suffer from pretty intense self-doubt. Writing songs is a weird pursuit. It feels selfish and requires a lot of sitting around and daydreaming. For many writers, it doesn't wind up being a profession, no matter how good they are, and Matthew was great. Electricians, plumbers have the satisfaction of like wiring a house or whatever and calling it a day. Songwriters write something for themselves and hope someone likes it enough to come out to a show or buy a CD. It can be kind of lonely at times. But Matthew's frustration with things can be heard in many of his songs. I'm sure we'll hear tonight, but they could be blunt and like heartbreaking. But he would mix that like bleakness with humor as counterpoint a lot of the time. A tune I discovered on his YouTube page just the other day called A Box of Tapes made me really sad. He asked the question, a box of tapes, was my whole life worth it? And the thing I hope Matt will know, if he's catching this tribute to him tonight from on high or wherever, is that the answer to his question, was it worth it, is all of us yelling yes. Yeah. And giving him the big hug and a vote of confidence that he deserves and could have used in recent years. His box of tapes, many boxes of tapes, so inspiring. His music, his words, and his kindness changed my life, as I know they did for everyone. We'll take the stage tonight, as well as so many of you folks in the room. Matthew was a writer's writer. He taught me so much. But song titles can make you want to hear a song, just from the title alone. That intention trumps execution. The diamond of honesty and imagination, almost totally obscured by the roughest stones imaginable, is far more valuable than polishing a turd, which is what we hear most of the time on the radio. Matt was such a writer. So I'm going to start with a tune of Matt's. I sang it now and then in shows over the past 15 years when I first started playing solo shows. It's got Matthew's trademark humor and sadness. I love it, and just like I love him, and I know you all do. Matt's family is here tonight. Some of them will speak a little later, I think. But right now we're going to sing for him, for each other, for Matt. So I'm going to sing you this song called La La La. I'm not listening to you. And see if I can do the chords justice. And I got some cheat notes. We got music fans, man. There's a whole pile of words that we're trying to remember. But it's been really joyful working on these tunes with Chris and Aaron and Clive the past couple of days. We're going to sing some songs after this, and then everyone's going to take the stage, and then we go. La la la, I'm not listening to you. Someone told me, kid, look, you're going nowhere. Now you're nearly 30 with your ass in the air. You can't let the world just pass you by. And no one wants to be all alone when they die. But la la la, I'm not listening to you. I got my hands on my ears, so I can't even hear. La 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 la. Tried to get to bed on time for a change, but I'm still up at 4:30 a.m. When you sleep all day, you're missing out on the sun, and the sun's a sure factor for everyone. But la 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 la, I'm not listening to you. I'm not plugged in. It's a denial binge. That's my favorite line. La 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 la. Where did it all begin? What planet does it come from? Did it always speak with forked tongue? How do I know who to believe? Don't you want to see me smile? The fire marshal came and he kicked the door down, said the building's on fire, gonna burn to the ground. He waved his hands in front of my eyes, but I was still humming and I didn't realize it was la 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 la. I'm not listening to you. I turned the volume down. Their lips move without sound. La 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 la. She said to me, look babe, I'm leaving you cold, because I want to find myself before I get too old. Sometimes I wonder if there's a person inside when you're staring at the floor all day and all night, going la 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 la. I'm not listening to you. I don't know what she said. I was deep in my head. La 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 We're going to get Aaron and Clive and Chris up here and get the show on the road.